Oh, this time KT on the blue side.
Now we'll see if KT ban away the Malzahar to start things off, or if they say, hey, you know what, we lost with it, other teams can too. It is banned away. Now Camille being highlighted by generic Green Wings. KT.
No Nautilus for Ixu this time around.
See if generic Green Wings do anything unique now on the red side. Varus and LeBlanc still have yet to be banned. And Varus being highlighted, banned away now, so KT, it's a little bit of a predicament where the meta is definitely mixing up a little bit, and there's no really obvious clear-cut bans, especially not here against generic Green Wings.
Lots of strong picks still available, and Lee Sin was not one of the champions I was thinking about. There's still Graves, Rumble, LeBlanc.
Well, KT probably wants to secure themselves Graves as the first pick, and so generic Green Wings probably gonna have to allow that to happen. They ban LeBlanc. KT probably gonna snap pick Graves. See if it happens, and it does. And so now generic Green Wings gonna be handed back over to them, and we'll see if they just pick up Jhin and maybe Kha'Zix or Elise.
Well, Teddy was pretty good on that Jhin in game 1, so if there was an AD they were going to first pick here, they're thinking a lot about this. It's going to be Ezreal, apparently, not Jhin.
And Warwick actually being hovered. They did this in game number 1, but didn't lock it in.
Yeah, it was Ixu that was hovering it. So maybe they're just both trolling. Kha'Zix will be the response pick here from the generic Green Wings.
And now KT, they have the option to actually pick up the Jhin. And they could just go for something powered like, yeah, well, I was about to actually say just get the Rumble. It hasn't been picked yet. Put Smeb on that Rumble and then pick up Jhin or pick up Karma or Lulu. Generic Green Wings, they might try to target away Deft, but that's not something that you're really going to be able to do. There's still Jhin, Ashe, Caitlyn available. You can't hit all 3 of them.
So Nami has a response here to the support pick.
Now we go into the second ban phase. Jhin probably want to at least pick what Def gets to play.
I think that just means that KT is mad.
Yep.
It's in red for KT, but also for Rage.
So Ashe is banned away, and now if you're KT and you're looking at this, you know that top and mid have yet to really be picked. You want to get Smeb, a nice matchup up in top. So highlighting the Camille, banning it away from Ixu. He has played that a lot on the ladder.
The Kled.
Or Kled.
Yeah.
Looking at Camille as I say that.
Hard to look away from those striking blue eyes. They get me every time. Ryze is a hover here, so they're not going to ban out 2 ADs and force him onto 1. They just do not want to allow Pawn to play Ryze this game.
KT have to decide on their final ban. And Gragas being hovered, and Ixu was one of the original top Gragases, actually.
Ixu kind of smiling as that happens, too. He's like, But at the same time, he looks kind of happy.
Yeah, he does look happy, actually. And
well, maybe that's the reason. Kennen being picked here. Okay, wait. Never. What?
He looked actually really happy, though. So I guess he was preparing for this and hoping that they did not ban away Kennen. So now that is a very brutal matchup up in top lane. We'll see what Ixu can do to Smeb with it.
Smeb, it looks like he's talking it out. Kog'Maw, I think we've seen it maybe once or twice. Okay. Switch over to Talon here for Pawn in mid. So he's going to take things into his own hands this game.
And we'll see what the final pick is for KT. They did highlight the Kog'Maw. Now they're highlighting it yet again. It might get locked in here.
There it is. It's locked in. The counter has been over to Jennair. So we are going to be seeing Kog'Maw again. And Brand, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think Diana either. Jennair's been trolling all day with these picks.
Yasuo, this isn't 7.5, not yet. Now back to Vladimir.
There it is.
I feel like Vladimir probably does fine against Talon in mid lane. So I feel like Jennair Green Wings are going to find themselves with two very good lanes. And a lot of pressure is going to be on Score to make stuff happen. He's probably going to have to do what Umti did to him in game number 1, stay on top of him in the jungle, and then use the breakaway to apply pressure to the lanes.
Looks like
Fog of War.
Yeah, perhaps the Korean commentators are talking about it too, as the camera shots go from first Umti onto Score. Both of them actually look pretty pressured, I'd have to say. Maybe they both feel like there's a lot of pressure coming into this one just based on the picks for them to perform for their team. Very exciting composition for me on the Jennair side. You know, lots of just, I'm going to dive in and try to kill you, at least with the Vladimir, Kennen, and the Kazakhs.
And here we go. We're about to go into game number 2. One last look at the team compositions. Rumble, Graves, Talon, Kog'Maw, and Lulu. For KT, and we'll see what Pawn can do this time on the Talon. And on the other side for Jennair Green Wings, lots of winning matchups. Kennen, Kazakhs, Vladimir, Ezreal, and Nami.
Really looking forward to this one. First game was incredibly exciting, very back and forth. Let's see how game 2 goes. KT versus Jennair right now. Here we go into game number 2. Curious to see what Ixu picked up in top. Yeah, it's going to be that Dorn's Blade. Dorn's Shield picked up by Rumble.
And Teddy opting for the blue chroma on his Debonair Ezreal. It's always important that we pay attention to these things. This is what really lets us know what's going on. Blood Moon Cannon, the skin of choice for Ixu.
Do you know the name of that Rumble skin?
Super Galaxy Rumble.
Oh, of course.
What?
Should have known that one.
Why? Star Guardian Lulu.
You're good at these, actually.
Thank you. These are the things that are really important. And Smeb actually coming in to get a ward in on the red. Very interesting that Kuzan didn't auto-attack Pawn to generate minion aggro and pull the lane up a little bit, but probably not going to matter that much anyway as Pawn just keeps shoving in. Now up here in top lane, this is going to really be the focus lane. Kennen versus the Rumble. We'll have to see what it ends up doing.
Pawn gets two. Yeah, he goes in, and the immediate flash in, trying to get that last auto attack. It looks like he just barely missed it. Kuzan will live.
So 2 summoners for 1 in mid lane, and that is horrific for KT. This is really going to put a dent in Pawn's ability to do stuff early on. Score now with a 3 camp into the blue. trying to respond by getting the blue, and Score nor KT are really going to be able to respond to this. And because of the top lane dynamic, it's impossible for Smeb to have gone down to check on the blue buff.
In comes Score now, and MT is staying for quite a while. He's gonna use the blasting plant, and MT says, okay, I'll just try to jump on over, but here's Pawn, there's the flash. And it looks like he might be able to, no, Score's going for it, that rep buff, he wants that slow. In comes Pawn. One more will do it, first blood goes over to Score.
A really nice start for KT now. Score picking up the first blood is really big. He also really skewed Umti's route. Now he's going to be able to transition, finish up his Wolves, perhaps even take his Gromp and then recall. And so far that Kennen matchup in top lane not really creating the most pressure.
Yeah, not quite even right now, at least. And you can see KT already off to a pretty nice lead in that goal to the first blood, but also, actually, the Kog'Maw Lulu is winning bot lane right now when it comes to CS. Just barely, but still very early, so having a lead like that is quite nice. Generally, Kog'Maw loses early and then gets really scary later on. And taking another look up at top, things aren't as dominant here for Ixu as we expected. Going pretty even. Not necessarily going in Smeb's favor, but he is pushing it in quite hard. Just getting rid of that blasting plant now. It's going to make it harder for anyone to come up top and stop his pushing.
MT being behind on that Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix really just feels like a much weaker Rengar when faced with this matchup. He doesn't have as much access available in terms of the jungle and what he can do if he were to ever encounter Graves. And Score really just getting to have his way. You can see he's full HP, full mana, still with the double buff on him. Moving in now to Umti's jungle, and even though he doesn't find Umti, he does let his team know exactly where Umti can be.
Yeah, and Umti was actually fighting the Krugs on a ward too, so they had a good idea. You could see that Score putting down double wards too, just to say, okay, we'll know if he goes into this side of jungle, or if he does not.
Meanwhile, in bottom lane, the CS gap continues to get a little big, but seems like Teddy and Snowflower not really in any sort of danger, as Score's not going to path to the right-hand side of the map until shortly after his red's up.
Having a pretty extended trade here in mid, just trying to discourage Pawn from continuing to go in on that one. Kuzan just blowing his ult. Here comes Umti up towards top, and Ixu's going on in here. Ultimate used. There is the equalizer, but totally dodged here. He's dodging everything. He's not getting hit by any of Rumble's skills. Will he go down there? No auto attack out of Smeb, and that will be a kill going over to Kennen.
And it looks like Jin Air were also fighting back quite heavily in bottom lane. Score.
Oh, he wants this one. He's level 6. He's got the collateral damage. Ixu in the brush. He wants to keep him there. He misses the ward. He's going to flash out of that one, Ixu, and he will get away alive.
And that's a really big turning point right now, actually, for Jin Air, as Score came up on empty-handed. He's going to be able to move in and potentially get the red buff away from Umti, but Umti doesn't know that Score doesn't have Smite. So right now, all of Score's pressure here is just entirely with his end of the line and the collateral damage. Wow, Umti doesn't even attempt a Smite fight. Respects that quick draw and the condensed terrain, so provides a lot of potential for Score with that ricochet.
Kuzan was going pretty deep on that one. The Ignite comes out, but
Just doesn't even make any sense.
Kuzan was...
He's done this multiple times.
They spot Score here, and it's just going to be Umti versus Score. And it looks like the rest of the KT members will get there first, so Umti just blowing his ult, but not able to make anything of it. Just pushes him back. So, you see Smeb hiding in here, trying to start a fight with Ixu. And Ixu just cannot stay around, and Smeb was thinking about going even further for that one, but does back off. Oh, that's annoying.
And Ixu, despite the advantages and also how the matchup was supposed to be favorable, Smeb has, for the most part, basically said no dice in terms of the counter matchup, and it's even ahead in CS over Ixu right now. Also up in level.
And Ixu's going to miss a whole wave too, as he has no teleport to get back to lane, so things getting a bit out of hand up in top, actually. And Smeb just kind of outplaying his opponent right now. Mid, though, is quite nice for Jin Air once again. Vladimir hasn't been able to pick up any kills, but he's very much ahead in terms of this farm.
Pawn down 24 CS in 9.5 minutes here.
Speed up from the Lulu really helps the Kog'Maw get into range when the enemy tries to disengage once he does gain his own extra range.
Looks like Deft actually itemizing for Trinity Force as his first item. He has the Stinger and the Fades already.
Wow, so much damage coming out. Teddy fighting back, though.
Definitely gotten into a little bit of a knife fight scenario, but...
Oh, there's the two-shot barrage. It does miss. The shield would have negated most of that damage, not all of it. Lands another Q. Oh, there's the Wild Growth forced out. It's definitely a knife fight, very back and forth, but I think the Jin Air bot lane does win out in the end.
Yep, Jin Air coming out ahead there. Score moving up to top lane for a lane gank. Not the most common of gank routes for Graves, but certainly sometimes can be effective. Right now, I mean, with the way that the map is, Ixu shouldn't even expect that Score could be here. And he's not going to get the intel from Umti early enough.
Oh, there's the equalizer too, slowing him down. That's going to be way more than enough to take him out. Nice setup by the KT top and jungle. They may even open up that top tier 1 turret.
Gonna pick themselves up the first blood turret of the game. Gonna share it between Smeb and Score. Doesn't even matter that Ocean Drake goes down. It's pretty much a useless dragon at this point in the game. They would need for a second one to spawn in order for it to be good, and I think it actually is gonna be a second one. I didn't see if it changed.
I didn't quite see either. Usually it takes about a second. But if that graphic in the top left doesn't change, then it means that the dragon is going to be the same.
Not the most beneficial Drake, even for Jin Air Green Wings. Not even just the fact that it's the Ocean Drake at 12 minutes, but they have 2 members that don't have any mana. and so would only benefit from the health regeneration. But so far, the Vladimir has gotten a pretty sizable advantage in mid, but it's all but negated because of the deficit it found in top lane. MT being forced to flash away. Oh, that's really unfortunate.
A gigantic ah comes out collectively from everybody in the studio. Everybody knows that feeling. Scorch joining up here, not even trying to be sneaky with this one. Wants to push it in. True Shot Barrage comes out, so will make it harder for them to push, as well as the tidal wave.
And they really don't want to give up this turret, and they don't want to call down a teleport from Mixu, because if Smeb were to come down as well, the Equalizer has too good of a trajectory with how Jin Air Green Wings were positioned, so they don't want to get into that sort of a fight right now. They want to let Ixu keep farming. He has that Wit's End right now, which is also going to do a lot of work for him and Kuzan in the later stages of the mid-game team fights, but Kuzan still needs a little bit more time until he has that Proto Belt available.
Another thing with this range is you put picks onto Kog'Maw, and it does even just that little bit more of poke, which makes it even more obnoxious. Makes it pretty hard to fight against him while he does have that up. You got to be landing Q after Q.
So going back up the top lane to continue to farm. This is basically what Jin Air Green Wings needs to do at this point. Let the Vladimir and Kennen get a little bit more punch available to them, and also let Teddy get up to that Trinity Force, although it looks like he is going to go Muramana before going into the Trinity Force.
Some more poke coming out here, but there is the teleport. Score is nearby, and they're going to match teleports here. Jin Air does not know about Score just yet. Immediately, Ixu gets exhausted, and he wants to back off, although Kuzan was making his way down as well. But there's Pawn jumping in onto Kuzan. Kuzan just trying to get out there, and he will succeed. All 5 members of both teams now partying down in bottom lane.
Problem is, this is a little bit of a runway fight for Jin Air Green Wings. The Equalizer will certainly bring their plane down. If they stuck around, they're probably going to be forced to eventually concede this bottom tier 1 turret, but KT turn their attention to mid, because they know that Jin Air can't quite get there in time without taking too much damage.
They may go in on this one. They forced a flash out of Kuzan. Smart for him to get out of there. He knew what was coming with Pawn and Smeb. Equalizer still up. Now mid turret is getting very low. Red buff on Graves. They are going to take this one out and look for more. Knocking down Ixu there. There's the collateral damage, and he does flash out of that, as well as the Equalizer. So he will also survive.
Right now, KT have accelerated themselves to almost a 3,000 gold advantage here at 15 minutes. Score coming back down to bottom lane. Teddy actually checking on the Burush.
So KT, they do have that pretty nice gold lead. They are up 2 turrets though, which they have been able to push. Kuzan just farming up here. Not much else going on, still pretty passive after we had a bit of action there with lots of ultimates and summoners blown towards the mid. Jin Air just desperately trying to hold on to their turrets, losing them like poker chips.
The next Ocean Drake spawning in 45 seconds right now. Jin Air probably wouldn't mind picking it up, even though it's not of the most benefit to their team comp. At least take that away from KT, but KT probably don't really care too much about investing in its capture. Neither team with teleport up. And Pawn has all but almost closed the gold gap. Only 14 still remains between them.
And it's funny that even though every time we take a look at bottom lane, except for that one fight where Jenner got ahead, it seemed like the Kog'Maw Lulu duo was doing okay, but he's actually behind about 25 CS. They're looking for something here. Pawn's gonna parkour on over. There's the blasting plant of T and a real amount of hurt here. There comes the equalizer trying to slow him down. He's burning, he's getting really low. In comes Smeb, and there's the collateral damage. Able to take him out, going really deep for this one. Smeb will pay for it with his life, but here comes Kuzan onto Pawn. Pawn will parkour that wall. Now trying to get onto score. There is that ignite. Just needs a little bit more damage. There's the double kill. Will he continue going in? No, he's just gonna be okay with the 2 kills.
So it's a 2 for 2 in the end. Came at a lot of investment though for both parties. Look at all of the flash and spells used on KT's side, and then you look at the ones for Jin-Air. Definitely going to be beneficial for Jin-Air Green Wings in the end, so we can see that Pawn parkour is over with score. Ixu does his best with the Slicing Maelstrom to lock them up, but Umpty was bound to die to that collateral damage in the end. Range just too much. They pushed on a little bit more, and they bit off more than they could chew, because once Kuzan arrived, even though that Storm Raiders procced, it didn't really matter. Kuzan able to stay on top of score, pick him up for the double kill, add some stacks to his Dark Seal. And I mean, in bottom lane, the scores are 0-0-0, but the reality of the situation is that Teddy and Snowflower did manage to outfarm Deft and Mata, even though KT comes up with the first turret of the game. In bottom.
Score's gonna take this Ocean Drake, just because, I mean, there's zero vision around here. Jin-Air has lost 3 of their turrets, and of course they don't want to give the second Ocean Drake over to Jin-Air, so they'll be happy to take one of their own. Not too much else going on right now, so pretty okay to take that one. There might be a bit of a fight here as Pawn is jumping these walls. He really wants to get onto this. Not quite able to make that jump. He wants to speed up. He really wants Umpty to go down here, totally ignoring Kuzan. Gonna parkour the wall, and in he jumps on the chase. Umpty just can't get away. You're not running away from a Talon. Not in that part of the map.
It was a nice effort by Kuzan to try to save his teammate, but went down in the end anyway. And now all their eggs, or Jin-Air Green Wings eggs, are basically in the Kuzan basket. He's going to need to show up big inside of the team fight. Baron's on the map now. And if you're Jin-Air Green Wings, you need to just stabilize a little bit longer. You need to let Teddy get to that Trinity Force. They're giving him the blue buff. Will help with him stacking his Monomune a little bit faster. And he's going to continue farming whatever gold he can to get to that Trinity Force. And Ixu also looks like he's going to be going into the Frozen Mallet as his next item. And that's what they need to do. However, KT, they have a little bit more options available to them. They can really look to just bring the fights to Jin-Air Green Wings right now, as long as they get all 3 of the lanes pushing in their favor. So that there's no option for Jin-Air to counter with a Baron in the event that they would somehow come up with a win in the fight.
It's going to be interesting to see if Teddy, you know, he played a very crucial role in that first game on his Jhin of just locking down members, doing a ton of damage with that curtain call. Can he be as effective on this Ezreal? He hasn't gotten any kills or assists. He hasn't died, but he's farming very well. Most CS in the game. Can definitely do a lot of poke as we get later on in this game.
Lots of pings going down right now. KT have just under a 4K gold lead, about 3.5. Kuzan has his 2 items. They're still just waiting for Ixu and Teddy to get their next items. And if you look at the itemization, though, coming out of KT, you can see Score has that Hex Drinker and the Maw of Malmortius already completed onto Pawn. So that's going to be a pretty big nuisance for Jin Air to deal with, as the Kennen and Vladimir's damage is really just going to be gutted by that.
The reason why Teddy really needs to come up big and just do a ton of damage here for his team. Lots of posturing as KT seems to be grouping up towards the mid-tier 2. All 5 members are around here. They're doing this dance again where they try to get rid of all this vision when they're ahead on the blue side. You've seen this before. Fortunately for them, no Mountain Drake, so they can't think to just burst down the Baron extremely fast.
Both teams just sort of posturing. And even if KT did go for a Baron burst, it's not like they have a Mountain Drake that would help them get it a little bit quicker. And so the Ezreal will definitely be able to at least provide some poke and attempt to dissuade KT from committing to it from the vicinity of his red side jungle. One of the real problems, though, that Jin Air is having is the jungler level difference is 2 levels, which in this patch is quite big. It's not something that you would expect to see.
Kuzan is just trying with MT to come in here and do something to seal us back. Actually, the True Shot Barrage comes out. Not sure if that was for Pawn or for red buff, but he's not able to take the red buff. It doesn't even hit Pawn. Looks like Score was able to pick that up. And had Teddy got that red buff, it would have been quite nice, as his poke would have been just that much more efficient. As we talked about before, they may need to be relying on that here just a bit. Ixu's kind of just gone into, I'm going to farm the side waves situation. He's not really doing much else.
Taking a look at the gold gap difference across the board. The majority of it is in mid, top, and jungle, although Ixu now does have his Frozen Mallet complete as he begins his push down and bottom. We'll see what Smeb can do to put a dent in that. Cloud Drake coming up in 10 seconds. That is the 3rd Drake of the game. So there is still a chance that a Mountain or an Infernal could spawn.
We haven't had the most exciting Drakes today. We had like 1 or 2 Infernals and 1 Mountain, I think. That's about it. Seems like both teams are thinking about fighting over there, though. Very scary spot to fight against this KT team with the Rumble, the Talon, even Score with a bunch of his AoE damage. So Jin Air just going to let this one go. And the next one will be an Infernal Drake.
And here is the part of the game where it's standard Jin Air Green Wings. We're just going to wait until 40 and 50 minutes, Brendan, so get out your pillow. Another 14 minutes to go. Please enjoy your flight.
Do I get any movies during the flight?
No.
Or?
Well, yes, you have to pay for that, though. That'll be $25.95.
That's pretty expensive. I don't think I want to pay for it.
We only accept credit card.
Oh. I don't have a credit card, so I guess I'm pretty screwed.
We offer some
free entertainment of Jin Air versus KT?
No.
Well, that's kind of what it feels like right now.
We offer some complimentary peanuts.
Well, I like peanuts. They're pretty good.
Have you ever flown Jin Air?
No, actually I haven't.
I've actually never flown Jin Air either.
They're like a, I don't know what you would call it, like a subsidiary company of Korean Air. They do like more of the local flights. Like if you were gonna go to Jeju or Japan or something like that, you could fly Jin Air.
It's kind of weird, right? That their flights would be like short distance and short times, and yet their League of Legends teams would lead you to believe that they're going international.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this was supposed to be a long flight, right? But they don't fly any long flights.
Their team wouldn't know what to do, man. They had like a PC bong on the generic, like they had a special like first class type place that had all just computers hooked up with proper plane Wi-Fi. They're like trying to play League of Legends. They can't even finish a game before the flight lands. I don't know exactly what they do.
Okay, we have a chance.
Stop it.
Never mind.
No.
Sorry, we don't.
Another 12 minutes, Brett.
I was getting excited there.
Get it together.
They almost face checked the brush.
Get it together. Another 12 minutes. Well, 11:50 now. Okay, so.
It's just this weird dance where KT is never, like, Jin Air in the first game, they were the bold ones to go for the Baron burst and stuff like that.
They are a team that they can, no matter how good you are, they can make it so that you will need to go 40 or 50 minutes. They may not kill you, but you won't kill them. They're masters at this. Eventually, Baron and Elder just sort of like have enough. They put an end to it, but if Baron and Elder did not exist, some say that Jin Air Green Wings games might still be going.
The never-ending story of the Jin Air Green Wings League of Legends team. Okay, here's an opportunity. Here comes Mata and Score. They're looking for Ixu. And of course we have Smeb down here as well. Ixu has to pull off the magical escape, exhaust, wild growth. Everything is going to be used here except the, well actually a lot isn't used here. Neither the equalizer nor the collateral damage come out. And so they do pick him up, and looks like they want to push the bottom tier 2 turret instead of, you know, moving towards the Baron or anything like that. Or at least they're gonna leave Smeb down there to do so.
Flower. Oh, gotta be careful.
Oh boy, he really wants him here. The tidal wave coming out. Snowflower's like, I don't want any part of this. And there's that push in the bottom lane. Tier 2 turret is going to be taken out.
Pings actually from Jin Air Green Wings went out onto the top tier 1 turret, but Guzan recalled anyway as he had a base to defend. Another 10 minutes to go here, Brendan.
And we're getting closer.
Yeah, we're on the descent. We will be landing quite shortly.
It's funny because even though the first game was...
Not funny.
Well, it is, because the first game was extremely aggressive, right? It didn't look like the Jin Air Green Wings, but it still went to 40 minutes. I think it was like 41 minutes and 14 seconds. So, you know, even when they try to play a really fast and aggressive game, they can't seem to end it. Okay, here we go. They're going to just go for the Baron right on top of a ward. Can Jin Air actually do anything about this? His 2 members just recalled back. Looks like Umti's going to have to be the hero. Teleport coming in. Look at Guzan. He gets totally bursted down. He tries to flash the wall and flashes towards Deft, but at least that stops the Baron, I suppose. Pawn's going in here. He's going 1v2, has that wild growth. Down goes actually Nami here, trying to get on top of Teddy. Deft is doing so much damage. Down goes Ezreal. And they do pick up a bunch of kills here. Is Ixu actually going to go for that one? I don't believe he should, or that he would. He's going to back off.
Stop the Baron. It came at the cost of 3 of their members, though, and probably going to be mid-tier 2 turret going down. Score.
He wants it. Umti, though, he's made it to mid.
He's going bug hunt. And now he's actually turning his attention up to top lane. Going to be able to raise this turret as well. Pick this up for his team. And all of a sudden, the game is really snowballed out of control. KT find themselves having an almost 10,000 gold lead here at 32 minutes. They're going to pick themselves up an Infernal Drake as well.
Yeah. And you can tell that just Jin is not as good at doing that, you know, the back and forth around Baron where they force KT to stop the Baron, but nobody dies, and then they do it over and over and over again until eventually bot pushes or something like that. They just, you know, different compositions as well. They don't have a Shen in bot lane. I can get in there a bit faster, protect one of your teammates. But, I mean, Kuzan getting caught out, it's kind of what we were talking about, where lesser teams might get caught out in that situation. Teddy, he misses his arcane shift over the wall, and he will be taken out. And that's going to be, I mean, we're getting later in this game. This is already 32 minutes in, so that's a 52-minute, or rather second, death timer here for Teddy.
Brendan, don't spoil the script. 52 minutes. Don't give it away.
Well, Snowflower decides he's had enough. He's like, okay, well, I sacrificed my life to change the script. Here comes the mid turret going down. And that should be mid inhibitor. Will they push in any more is the question. Deft is getting a little bit out of control right now on this Cogmaw.
And it looks like KT might just actually get mid inhibitor and bot inhibitor and then back off and get the Baron if they want to be ultra safe. But if Umti, Kuzan, or Ixu would be willing to donate their life, I mean, KT probably wouldn't hesitate to get the Nexus.
So essentially it's just KT finding these holes in the Jin Air defense, and Jin Air getting caught out again and again. That's leading to these objectives being taken. Now we may have a desperation Baron attempt here by Jin Air. Let's see if they actually do go for this. I don't think they should, with Score and Mata already really close to the Baron.
And just lots and lots of pings going down.
They know where MT is. He was in that brush, and it looked like MT realized that they knew where he was as well, so he just backs off.
And just lots of posturing right now. Still 6 minutes to go till that golden time zone.
The 40-minute.
Yeah.
That's where the game really begins for Jin Air. Okay, Kuzan, he
Well,
gets caught out.
is that what you called that?
Yeah, that's the nice way to put it.
Okay. What would be the bad way to put it?
Doing the doing it the run down mid strat.
Run it down mid?
Yeah, except this one is just the run it down top strat.
Okay.
Into the enemy.
I like that.
So now with one member down, I mean, they could just push in top. There's really going to be no defense here, as actually Snowflower might die. Empty forced to ultimate away. Deft's still going in there, has to flash the tidal wave. He's fine to do that. And there's the equalizer. Look at all those super low members of Jin Air. They can't get by. They're trapped.
That was a pretty funny interaction. I've never seen someone flash and then instantly die on an equalizer. It's actually a first.
Yeah, burn it up. Okay, they're actually going to end this one before 40 minutes. Down they go. Jin Air is going to be pressed hard to recreate their Game 1 experience. Smeb going to make his KDA a little bit less. Down goes the Nexus, and KT takes game number 2.
They take game number 2 off of a very different game. And, I mean, Pawn, he had a lot of shakiness at the very start. He picked it up in the later stages, but Score honestly just did a ton of work early on, and definitely a completely different leaf from game number 1. Although the game did end 4 minutes before 40 minutes. Have you ever seen Final Destination, Brendan?
I've seen bits and pieces here and there, so I don't really know the story.
Not supposed to mess with that script. So we'll see what game number 3 is going to bring us. Jin Air Green Wings, they had the recipe for success actually going into this game, but they couldn't quite go toe-to-toe, and Smeb really just, he said no to the counter matchup up in top lane. That was a really big problem for Jin Air.
Ixu looks so excited getting into that one. He's like, yes, finally I get to play my Kennen versus Rumble.
That was like getting Teemo versus Garen, and then the Garen wins. This is not supposed to happen, but we're going to be going to the analyst desk right now, followed by game number 3.